Hello everyone. So the topic of my presentation is environmental challenges, risk drivers and trends. I will only be focusing on China. So the environmental challenges and drivers which are being faced in China, they are basically due to anthropogenic activities, and they have created a sense of insecurity among the citizens, and it is instilling a sense of insecurity as the people are finding it very difficult to find livelihoods or meet their basic needs. And the major drivers behind these challenges are population increase, rise of the Chinese middle class, changes in their consumption pattern, globalization of trade and manufacturing, changes in land use, loss of arable land due to urbanization and development, climate change, environmental conflicts, and recent events. So starting with population increase, Chinese population has more than doubled from 600 million in 1949 to 1.34 billion in 2013. And the scientists are expecting that it will reach about 1.5 billion by 2030. That is a very large figure. And if we look back at the history, then the leader Mao was of the view that if China has more people, then it will definitely have more strength. But then in 1978, the one-child policy was introduced, but it could not overcome the damages which were already done to China's resource base, because to sustain a large population, you also need a very large resource base. So, in this context, Q Gapping, who was a Chinese analyst, he mentioned in his book Population and Environment in China that all the environmental problems are related to overpopulation. And he believed that all populations can also be limited if the population is controlled, resources are used efficiently, and the masses are educated. So Paul Ehrlich and John Holdren gave an equation I is equal to PAT. I shows environmental impact, P stands for population, A for affluence, T for technology. It shows that the environmental impact will definitely increase with increase in population, affluence, and technology. Because as population increases, it causes pressure on land use and natural resources. So more pollution is caused, and it can even surpass the carrying capacity of the planet. And point to be noted, this is the only planet on which humans can live until now. Uh, Affluence cause higher consumption, more lavish lifestyles, and desire for luxuries. Technology includes chemicals and machines used for the extraction of resources. Then there is another problem of conventional mindset, which is that only using the fossil fuels for energy consumption. That can definitely be changed to renewables. But now, if we look at the condition, the fertility rate has lowered to some extent due to strict policies, better education, and government regulation. Then we have the driver, the rise of the middle class. The rise of the middle class gave way to a culture of higher consumption, affluence, desire for a luxurious lifestyle. It increased the energy use of the people as they bought more vehicles, and they also changed their diet from grain to meat centered, and meat has a very large environmental footprint attached to it, and it also increases the amount of carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere. Then, due to more air conditioning, greater extraction of resources, production of luxury goods, watches, handbags, shoes, jewelry, clothes, the pollution also increased. In 2010, China's automobile market was considered the largest with 17.2 million cars and commercial vehicles sold domestically, and it even beat the record of USA. Luxury good market went above 10 billions in 2010. And higher consumption also gave rise to risks of producing substandard products and the export of low quality products. So, as economic growth increased, the living standard got worse because of substandard consumer products, unhealthy living situation, more pollution, more air pollution, and water pollution. Then there was a milk powder scandal. In which it was declared that the milk powder being produced was made from substandard material, which was detrimental to the health of children. And then a bullet train accident happened in 2011, which was clearly showing that the bullet train was made of substandard manufacturing materials. Then some solutions were proposed, which included honest labeling, legal system, refunding double the price, and filing lawsuit. in case of violations. Then few environmentalists also believed in the environmental Kuznets curve, which says that if resources increase and resources are used for economic development, then initially environment will degrade. And after a certain level of economic growth, then environmental degradation will continue, will start to be improved. Okay. After this, there was a report of US Embassy Beijing, which revealed that hazardous air on many days, which was considered safe according to the Chinese government. And protests started against the government, which resulted in framing of strict standards and regulations for the measurement of air emissions, harmful air emissions. Then comes globalization of manufacturing. Due to the globalized system of consumption and production, China became the manufacturing powerhouse of the world. In 2008 alone, China's exports were 146 times greater than that in 1978, and it was considered as the second largest exporter in the world, producing about 93% products, including electronics, toys, textiles, furniture, and the wood products in export was also banned in order to improve the flood control, which was also a risk at that time. Illegal exports were tried to be controlled, but they persisted in Myanmar, Cambodia, Indonesia. As the environmental laws were very weak due to bribery and corrupt officials, logging was still being done in some places. And due to this, wood imports tripled from 1997 to 2009, and exports increased about 700% in value. Sources of raw material were not verified due to corruption and weak regulatory bodies. Then comes land use changes, urbanization, industrialization, and farmland loss. The pressure on land increased due to increased real estate development and greater industrialization. China lost about 8.2 million hectares only due to industrialization, urbanization, and natural disasters. And about 37% of China's arable land is still degraded. Now, new cities are also being created in village areas to deal with unemployment. And there was a system of ration card system, which lost its power as the consumer goods were readily available in open markets. Peasants started to move to cities illegally, and they were forced to live in slums. And farmers sell their arable land to real estate developers. And then some government officials grabbed land illegally for construction and development. If we come to climate change, then China faces severe effects of climate change, including alteration in rainfall pattern, sea level rise, storms, droughts, and floods. There is a very high amount of desertification and erosion, and then obviously glacier melting, which is occurring in the Tibetan Plateau, which has adversely impacted Yellow River and also disturbed the irrigation network in North China. Then aquifer below the North China is also moving down a meter per year and is expected to deplete in about 30 years. Aquifers of Beijing, they're also falling down due to excessive usage, and there are extreme weather patterns and violent storms which have been experienced. Then sea level rise has affected and will continue to affect Tianjin and Shanghai cities as they are densely populated areas. Now, more effects of climate change include reduction in grain yield, rice, wheat, cotton, and China's major rivers flow from the Tibetan Plateau and glaciers melting disturbed the overall ecological balance in China. Now, there was a mega project, Beijing, which was for building channels to transfer the water from Yangtze River to the Yellow River because there was a need of water in the other area. Then Inner Mongolia and Ningxia started to experience severe winters and droughts, which killed millions of cattle and displaced nomads too. Then flooding in southern China and central China caused concerns about construction of dams. And There was a very high amount of consumption of fossil fuel in industries. Uh, and emissions were growing about 10% per year since 2000. China is the largest carbon emitter. Uh, Efforts are underway to mitigate these issues, that is, clean development mechanism, plans for reducing carbon output, carbon trading, and shift towards renewable energy. So, some environmental conflicts and recent events which show about the environmental challenges being faced in China include uh, explosion at the petrochemical plant in 2005, then industrial pollution and Wu Lihong protesting against it, then citizen resistance to a chemical plant being proposed in Xiamen, earthquake in Sichuan province, severe air pollution in Olympics, the crazy bad air pollution observed in 2013 January, concerns over e-waste and recycling, explosion in the oil pipeline